think of something. 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 We've got Movie Sign.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Jazz hands, welcome to the Mystery Science Theater 3000 After Show. We are high above the earth upon the satellite of Buzz. As always, I'm Christian Bladt at Christian DMZ. To those of you watching on YouTube, to my left, your right, those of you in your ear holes, hello, there he is. Andrew Mena at Andrew Mena.
Hey guys, I'm Andrew Mena at Andrew Mena. You can find me on the internet at Andrew Mena.
But no, this week, your name is Gus. And Gus is going to host one heck of a show. Isn't that right, Gus?
That's sure right.
And bend that bar while you're at it. Welcome to the show. We've got two... I was going to say great. We've got two episodes to talk about. 11, 12, 11, 13. Oh my goodness. We have Talking Chimp, well, sort of a mumbling chimp. We've got Santa Claus. We've got Luke Skywalker. Where to begin? Where to begin?
So fun.
I think we begin with Carnival Magic.
Carnival Magic.
That is our first episode, 11, 12.
A strange meandering movie.
Not much magic. I mean, I suppose...
Almost
I guess
none.
I don't want to discount the idea that a talking chimp is not magical in some way,
suppose it
because
is.
that is highly magical.
It sounds more like evil magic, though, like some sort of like demon trapped into a monkey, or maybe like a lich or something situation.
Yeah, I think that they're. I mean, I feel like if it was wholly good magic, he would have spoken better, as we've seen in other talking.
I mean,
chimp
yeah,
fare.
he would have had a little bit more of a holier kind of tone, maybe
I just wanted
English accent.
Wanted one song and dance.
I would have liked that, and I got the song and dance I didn't want in the next movie.
Oh, there's a lot of song
About
and
the
a lot of
sleeping
dance.
children, and oh my goodness, we can't even.
No.
That's such a creepy song. I feel like if you sing that song out loud these days, you just go directly to jail.
Right, and this is, as they referenced a number of times in the course of Carnival Magic, this is another instance where a guy's got a carnival, and it's like, well, let's film the carnival, and we'll bring people to the carnival. And I don't know, I've never wanted... I'm not a big carnival fan, I'm not a big circus fan. I am less inclined to go to either of those things henceforth because of spending an hour and a half with Carnival Magic.
And my goodness, like what an awful seeming carnival it seemed like, right? Like there's no one there, and it just kind of seemed kind of dark and shabby.
Yeah, but it's like, oh, I'm just gonna keep the talking chimp quiet.
Yeah,
and not use him to
That's
try
not
and
part of
generate
the
more
act.
business.
Don't worry.
No, he's not supposed to. He's not supposed to perform.
Yeah, they had a Disney formula, and then they didn't follow through on that formula. They're just like, it's just going to be one of those wacky movies where we drive around, look, a vegetable cart, and then they drive into the vegetable cart because they have to, I guess?
You always have to drive into a vegetable cart.
It's a law.
And we did have a chimp driving scene, so that was pretty close.
And what's her name is the girl in the car?
Somebody O'Shea.
Yep, it was
it's
important.
further down in my notes. But
She's gone on to do great things. I don't know why.
She's been in a lot of cars since then.
Yeah, I think several Oscars.
Yeah, well, car Oscars. Those are very specific.
Car skirts.
Yeah, the car skirts.
Yeah, the car skirts.
So the episode begins high above the earth on the satellite of love. Tom Servo's having a Tom Talk, which is a lot like a TED Talk. And I was listening to him, and I was just like, I'd probably spend a lot of money to listen to Tom Servo inspire me for 2 hours.
Yes, yeah, I found it lovely.
Money just as well spent as for a TED Talk, as far as I'm concerned.
Completely.
So I feel like we were better for it. We had an invention exchange that included a Yeastapet and Flavor Sweat, both gross.
Yeah, super gross.
Super gross, yeah.
Yep. And Jonah goes, oh, mine tastes like saltines. No, that's just what you naturally taste like. I love that.
And then we dive right into Carnival Magic, and I like when they do something fun with the titles. So when it was Carnival MA, it was Carnival Magnum PI, and then Carnival Magi. I was like, all right, this is going to be fun. There were a couple of great riffs in the first couple minutes. One, and the crowd goes mild.
That's a good one.
And poor guy's got male pattern sadness, Those two jumped out right away. And I think that perfectly summarizes at least the Act 1 Carnival.
Oh, completely.
The Stony Martin's Carnival in the first act.
I feel
of
like
the film.
for me, the beginning of the Carnival, that's just basically it. But I was going to say the part 2, I suppose, would be, I'm sitcom mad. That's essentially like Act 2. It's like, there's a monkey, and this monkey.
No, keep in mind, when you have a monkey, there are
chimp,
sitcom style.
sorry.
You're right, absolutely. We don't want to be...
It's not a monkey.
We don't want to be primate-ist.
Lest I correct myself.
Yes, we do get a lot of mail from the chimp community.
Right.
And sometimes we have chimps join us in the chat. Not today, but some days we do. But anyway, I think that when you have a chimp in a movie, you're going to have to expect sitcom style antics.
You're obligated to bring that.
I will tell you one thing about Alex, who could be a better named chimp. He delivered.
Yes.
On the wackiness.
He was delightful.
No song and dance, and his banter skills definitely needed an upgrade.
But he was there doing silly things.
That's what you can say about Alex.
Yep,
he was there. And he did silly things.
The whole time.
Like the funniest thing he did, my favorite ape trick, my favorite chimp trick ever, I'm going to do the drink a bottle of poison trick. Which is always good. Spoiler alert. Yeah. But we had a lot of great jokes along the way. One that you and I were talking about beforehand, because, of course, the magician's name is Markov. So we had a lot of Markov,
Polov.
And I could have listened to that through most of the movie. The What Good is a Chimp Who Mostly Mumbles, as I said, was very astute.
I love the little commentary section where they talk about this movie gets a second life its makers never intended, where they're the cops.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the old Carnival Magic.
Yeah, I thought that was great when the host segment where we had Crow and Servo dressed up as sheriffs, and there was a lot of CB talk and and like, what does all that mean? It's like, well, it's a midlife Frosted Flakes creep out, and then of course my favorite is, what is a syrup covered case of Rolling Rock? And then the answer being Stony Martin's breakfast. So Stony Martin does love to day drink and morning drink.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of it.
So good for him. Dad of the year. So there's some tigers in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah, and really, I guess just tigers and chimps. I was going to say there's a lot of other animals. There's a dog.
Yeah.
You're right. There's a dog early on.
There's a dog in there.
And Markov can really just tell those dogs what to do.
He makes eye contact like a who's boss. He looks like Charleston Heston speaks. Like at these animals.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So there's a whole cast of characters. That we have
for some reason.
Yeah, we have Bud, his Stony Martin's daughter,
right?
Whose name is
Alicia. No,
we'll just stick with Bud.
Bud.
Yeah,
Bud
Ellen was what her actual name was. Her given name was, but he didn't want her to be a girl, which was a storyline that it was definitely difficult because, as they said, she was of indeterminate age. I couldn't tell. Like, was she 15? Was she 25? I have no idea.
We don't know.
But
we do know that relationship was weird.
The relationship was very weird because it was like, we've never talked before. Oh, the dad relationship, yes.
Yeah.
Then the romantic relationship with the very awkward kissing.
With what's his name? Low rent
PR guy. Yeah, very low rent.
Yeah.
That's actually Craigslist free Owen Wilson.
Like their friend John doing an Owen Wilson impression.
Yeah. And hey, no, that's
wow! Oh wow, guys! Wow. Oh wow! You're butting into such a beautiful young woman. Oh wow!
You want to go bowling? And she did not. And that was a fast track relationship. It was, we've never really talked. Let's talk. And then it felt like just a couple scenes later, we're engaged.
Yeah, we're
to be married.
What? Yeah, that was very left field, and not in like an exciting, fun way, but in a like.
No, sometimes you're happy for characters that they find each other,
especially in scenes that you're like, oh, well, it led up to that. We already knew that was going to happen. Yeah. But for this one, it was like, no, this is the first like.
I think that they just got engaged because they didn't have anything better to do.
Yep, high school loves.
# Carney Life.
Carney Life. Yep. So, you only have one love in the Carney.
One of my favorite sequences in the movie, with the way that they commented on it, the way Jonah and the robots commented on it, was when we got to see what Alex is capable of. So Stoney goes into the creepy trailer, and we see that he's sweeping, and they're doing some amazing play-by-play. I had, like, started to write down, but there's so much that I just and then it's like he's like, oh my god, he's gonna open a fridge, and it's like I can't imagine. Is there gonna be orange juice in there? Oh my god, orange juice.
Is it gonna be gross and look like it has medicine in it? Oh my god, it does.
Super gross.
It was so banal. Like the activities
their
that they had.
excitement for it was great, and the fact that they had brooms and they were holding them up.
And what's his name? What is it? Stoney is the name.
Stony
of it?
Martin.
Stoney
is
just all aflutter about this.
He's just like, I can't believe.
It's a lot. It's right here.
Yeah.
It's right there. Like
the fact that the chimp can talk is enough, but apparently people needed more, and so. Oh, right. So we talked about the one host segment, but then there was the one where they just talk about Alex the chimp who mumbles, and he doesn't say anything funny like you'd expect from a talking chimp. It's like sort of the step right up. Tom says it's a theoretical miracle and a practical disappointment. Yeah, a chimp who is struggling with existential ennui. And I think that,
I enjoyed that.
The practical disappointment of Alexander the Great, the not-so-great talking chimp, sorry to say, Alexander, who sadly... Well, let's be honest, is I'm sure no longer with us. He's probably in chimp heaven now. Just to bum everybody out, I thought it was worth pointing out.
Yeah.
And in any case...
Also, all the lassies.
Yeah, so there wasn't really that... All the lassies. Even the current one is actually dead. Yeah. It's a
Sixth Sense situation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see dead lassies.
He sees dead lassies.
Oddly enough, I think Haley Joel Osment does see dead lassies everywhere he looks.
That's got to be a rough one.
Yeah, but he soldiers on. So anyway, I think that perfectly summarized the practical disappointment of it. We came back from that break into that segment, and there was a carnival meandering sequence that was supposed to play up the, I'm using air quotes for people not watching on YouTube, the fun of the carnival.
Oh, man.
But it was not so fun.
It was not delightful. It was super, like this whole movie it attempts to show you like glimpses into the world of moments.
The exciting life of carnies.
Check this little slice of life out. But they didn't like really bother to like write much out, you know. They're just like, we'll just walk by here and then we'll just kind of like
there's a bunch of
offer
people
them a game and maybe one person plays the game and then they're good at the game and then they win the game.
That guy was one of my favorite characters.
Like, come on.
He did not get his due. He wasn't even trying to get people into the tent with Alex. He was trying to get people into the mauling tiger tent.
Yes.
So.
Oh man.
But during the carnival meandering,
the mauling tiger. You mean the one who shot him? Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, clearly
one of my favorite jokes.
Clearly,
this tiger shot me.
He definitely was packing.
Yeah.
But the joke I wanted to highlight from the carnival meandering was that even Alejandra Inarritu would call cut by now. So that was very accurate. And the movie has more exposition than The Phantom Menace. And we finally got to the scene we alluded to. This is a twofer. The Grand Theft Auto Chimp City.
Yeah.
Also known as Mad Max Furry Road.
Oh.
And I have her name now. Missy O'Shea, the girl in the car. But of course they're like, wait, calm down. It's just a girl in the car. We don't know if this is the girl in the car.
Yeah,
which was very funny.
I think it might be that.
And the chimp driving, he had, well, he I guess didn't, but they had a good line that they gave to the chimp, which was, whatever, leave me a great Uber rating. And I'm a talking chimp driving a car, and even I'm bored by this scene.
Yes.
Which yeah.
That's exactly how this ended.
Yeah, that was not my favorite chimp driving scene, as anyone who's ever seen, any of the anything, well, any which way but
any
loose.
Movie.
Any movie. All movies have a chimp driving.
Schindler's List has a better chimp driving scene.
Chimp? No, see, I stopped myself.
You
can't do it.
Oh, darn it.
But there's a list of chimps now that I've already thought about. But anyway.
I'm going to recut that movie to include just scenes of chimps driving.
It'll be so sad.
It's going to be a really upsetting movie still.
Well, let's just have them driving away.
Driving saving
away.
everyone.
Yes. Not driving
You're right. We saved that.
Not the train conductor.
I really loved the one moment where they approach the guy with the chimp, and I'm forgetting his name right now still. But Markov, that's right. Polov. And there's like, I was just about to commit seppuku, but sure. That's the way this guy has his attitude the entire movie. I love later on when he's the Sanctus, and they just kind of are singing in Latin at his face, just kind of looking down the barrel.
Yeah, that guy was very intense.
He was so intense.
And did not wear a shirt as much as a guy that let's be honest, built like that, probably should wear it a little bit more often.
Right.
I mean, I'd show it off a little, but at some point you probably want to put the shirt on.
Yeah.
Right? You know, but who am I to judge?
Yeah.
There was a great obscure, it's not that obscure reference because it's from a big movie, but during the aforementioned chimp chase scene, the police car that ended up on the grass, police cars don't work on grass unless you got power, which is a throwaway line from Back to the Future 2. There were 3 or 4 Back to the Future 2 jokes in here, so clearly that somebody had it fresh in their memory.
I did hear that one, and what was one of the other ones?
One of the other ones was, there were a couple of, you know, basically the doctor who sort of looked like Doc Brown.
Yeah.
So there were a couple of those.
1.121 gigawatts,
Yeah.
I think, was probably
That was definitely one of them.
Yes.
And during the police chase, we had Rayan Wilson is Captain Mark David Chapman, which is a little gruesome but very funny.
Yep.
And they do a great explanation as to what a Carnival Magic routine is. You know, they sort of just tell you that, and then they go through the whole process of what the movie is and how it sat on the shelf, and then it gets repurposed for this show. I just thought the very matter-of-fact, deadpan explanation of how this bad movie gets made and ends up on Mystery Science Theater 3000 in 2017. Thought it was very funny. And we then had an awkward scene where Ellen/Bud was... well, she was rubbing Alex's belly, but it was from behind. It was very
weird.
So many creepy scenes.
Super
but
weird.
Alex had there was a great running gag throughout the episode, which was so often he said, "Sweet freedom!" Like any time that he could get away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked that a lot. One of my favorite bits was just when he starts talking about the demon of Braxis and
Yes,
just that whole kind of like high fantasy sounding element. I loved that. That was great.
Yeah.
That was my
by the way,
section.
roads, where we're going, nobody bothered to build roads. That was
Yeah.
one of the Back to the Future
Yes.
references.
I wrote that one down.
Yeah. During the aforementioned awkward kissing scene, Crow asked, "Jonah, is this skating?" "Yeah, tongue skating."
Yeah, exactly.
Which is super gross.
And weird.
And then we had creepy doctor guy. You know, "Hi, this is Dr. Poole. Nice day. I'm not a Nazi."
Yeah, he was a real creep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved the let me finish emasculating you when he's standing over him and the tiger has just shot him sort of thing.
Oh, no, yeah. I mean,
It was delightful. You want to talk about our guest for this episode, young Skywalker?
Yeah, we can definitely talk about him. I think that was very exciting that we had PT Mindslab.
Oh, absolutely.
Who had a real theater of the mind kind of carnival
I really
circus.
enjoyed his irritating song.
Yeah.
And that great circus show.
It was very irritating.
He just keeps doing that.
It just kept going.
Every time.
And, you know, even King and Max got wrapped up in it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And he was trying to buy Jonah and the Robots, which, you know, Jonah's already, as we've established, her betrothed.
Yeah, so
which is their sort of running storyline through the second half of the season, really.
Right.
And, I think that some great work from Mark Hamill in a funny mustache.
Yes.
But he was a lot less Luke Skywalker and more Joker.
More Joker, yeah.
Way
I was gonna
more
say
Joker.
that too. Yeah, I enjoyed how Joker he was. It was a very kind of shrill madness voice.
Yeah.
I enjoy.
A sequence that we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about in the actual movie is we actually get to see some of the act. So there's the hold up $1 or a welfare check, and then he reads off the serial numbers. And this is what I talked about in the beginning, was the guy that they get from the audience who can't bend the bar.
Gosh, yeah.
No, your name is Gus, and you can. And
Gus can bend metal.
is
that what? Yeah.
How does that actually work?
Is that what hypnotism is? You just tell someone, you just gaslight them? You gaslight them into doing the thing you want?
Yeah, because when I was a much younger man and single, I wish I could have been convinced that I was Gus, a very handsome, suave, debonnaire gentleman about town. I would probably have had my way with the ladies if only I was Gus.
What is your way?
Well, it would have been Gus's way.
Oh,
so it wouldn't have been
so
my
I wouldn't
way.
have even known.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's
I've never
impossible
been
to
a Gus.
tell.
Yeah, I'll never know. But if anybody named Gus is watching the show, please
Tell us
let
what your
know.
way is.
Yeah, please.
Gus's way.
Tweet us your way at MST3KABTV, which I forgot to mention in the
Gus's
intro.
way. Yes.
Yeah, hashtag Gus's way.
Yeah.
That is our Twitter address.
Yeah.
You can leave it anything for us.
That's this week's topic. Let's hear the Gus's ways of the world.
What are the Gus's ways?
Next week we'll discuss.
Please.
Yeah, I loved the silly reference to Goofus and Gallant.
Yeah, from Highlights for Children.
Yeah.
That was great. I was I can't even remember exactly what those were. Was that when he was
like
the madcap chimp trashes the hotel room that's supposed to be a hospital?
Goofus and yeah, exactly. Yes, there was just such a silly old reference. I loved it.
Yeah, no, those are favorites. Yeah, and now you had one that you had to look up.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Wallenda.
Yes, now that is a circus family. Well, you have looked it up, so you do know now.
Right. You go ahead.
But it's a circus family of acrobats, well known. I would say that if for the nerds in the audience, that if you're a fan of this show especially, but of Mystery Science Theater, odds are you might be a nerd if you watch Mystery Science Theater 3000, the after show. Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
Batman's young ward
is modeled off of
I would say that the Graysons were supposed to be, except, all dead.
Yeah.
But the Graysons were basically like the Wallendas.
Well, okay. Well,
so I had to put it in Batman terms because that's how you can understand everything.
Yeah, that's the only way I understand it.
Yeah. The birds and the bees conversation was
it didn't make any sense until it was bats and other bats.
Batman and Batgirl.
And cats.
Yeah, and cats. Oh, that's true.
Bats and cats. The bats and the cats. I got that speech.
He gets around. But yeah, so that was a good one though. I thought that there was definitely a lot of circus humor in here, and there was they go out on some of their terrible dates. The couple that we have here, Ellen and PR guy.
Right.
I did not take the time to learn his Owen Wilson guy, and there was like, "Come on, son, have a beer." One day at a time. He's like, no, one day at a time. And don't wait up. Wait up. It's 10 a.m. There was a lot of just awkward moments like that.
Moments,
yeah,
yes.
A lot of awkward. I could have just done a whole column of those, but.
Gosh, and I wrote down, we'll have what he's having, but I don't remember what it was in reference to exactly. It was either suicide or drinks.
Yeah.
One of those two
Either
things.
Way, one of those two things
was necessary.
Suicide or drinks, yeah.
And that is how we summate this movie. Suicide or drinks. Pick one.
Yeah. So when, unfortunately, Alex gets chimp napped.
Yep.
Basically because
from the doctor because
a tiger guy helps him out.
Well, yeah, because he's a jerk.
Tiger guys usually
he's on the lam for some reason.
Yeah,
drinking sherry. Yeah.
And so he gets taken away, but then that's the moment that I referenced earlier. The just chimp madness in that hotel room that's supposed to be a hospital, which, by the way, as they pointed out, had a screen door. Like most hospitals, most down-home southern hospitals have a nice screen door.
A patio with rocket
chairs. With some sweet tea out on the porch. Because that'll clear out everything.
Wedge of lime to keep it fresh.
They asked a great question. Jonah, can you get PTSD from a movie? And
yes.
If you could, this was definitely
this was a big one.
Yeah, and I like that there was they call in the chimp cavalry to rescue Alex, and then it's kind of all for naught because he has drank a bottle of poison, as I mentioned earlier.
Right.
But then we also get to watch him die on the operating table. He flatlines. Mm-hmm. And then Markov uses his Markov magic, which, why didn't you just use it earlier?
Yeah.
Because he was being a real Markov. That's how I felt about that. And then it's like, oh, everything turns out all right. But during the hospital scene had one of my favorite moments, Dr. Mark Twain and Nurse Kesha.
Yes, I saw it.
Yeah. Well, as Dr. Mark Twain, I have to say the details of his death are not exaggerated. So, yeah. And then the end of the movie has just some great riffs on, because it says, see you next summer in more Carnival Magic, which I hope did not happen, by the way.
Oh my gosh. And the end is so long.
Yeah. Well, that's why they have to go into the whole, the series of sequels and the spin-offs and the reboots and the trailer park movie studio. Mm-hmm. And, and then at the end of the episode, though, we get, as we've said many times on the show, my favorite, the little, not construction, but the little recreations of characters and scenes from the movie.
That was
so there was
fun.
the little parade where we had Sad Cop sitting on a car, which was the stinger at the very end of the episode. Sort of a great moment because it's like, not only are you embarrassed by getting your car towed away, but you don't even get to ride in the tow truck.
No, you have to.
You're a roof cop now.
You're a roof cop.
You're gonna have to be a roof cop.
Yep. You don't get to come back inside. You're a roof cop now.
Markov with his shirt off, awkward first kiss, and then of course the favorite float in any parade, Stony Martin passed out drunk. Carnival Magic was not the worst movie in this in this season of the show. It wasn't the most boring, but
No.
it was not good and it was not interesting.
Right. Yeah, it was so meh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you feel like, look, there's mind control. There's a talking
There's
chimp.
powers.
There's young love, which should have inspired all of our hearts.
There's a chase sequence where they hit a thing of vegetables.
Yeah.
It has all the ingredients of a fun movie, but it does none of the actions a fun
I
movie
think
should.
that the chimp needed to be more fun.
Yeah.
If there's a big overall problem,
I wish that the guy who's the jerk, Alex, is that his name?
I think so.
Oh, sorry, I wish
Tiger Man.
I wish Tiger Man was the chimp. That would have made everything much more
Wow.
interesting.
So if
You
he
got
was
a
a-
rivalry with
Okay.
this
You
man.
see, that I like. So he would be a chimp lion tamer.
Exactly.
Well, although I guess tiger tamer.
Yeah,
Because I
and
feel like tigers are cheaper.
and he's not doing a great job because
No.
a lot of the lions and tigers are just like this looks a lot more like food than some
Yeah.
of these other bigger ones.
Yeah, I feel like I could eat this
Yeah,
one.
exactly. And so he's struggling, and he doesn't want to admit that he's having trouble.
Can you
'cause he's
fire a
chimp.
gun if you don't have an opposable thumb?
Well, I think chimps have opposable thumbs.
Oh, they do.
I
That's
think
right.
they do.
Yeah,
I think that's a
well,
big part of it.
Yeah, that's why they're just like us.
Yeah. Because of
Anyway,
their ability for bloodlust.
yeah, there was a great moment where the doctor gets punched in the face, and
Oh,
it was
yeah.
like, take that, evolution in the schools or something like that, which I
Yeah.
thought was very funny. So episode 12 makes you hate the carnival. Episode 13 does its best to make you hate Christmas.
Yeah.
And to kind of feel like
It does a pretty good job.
He's kind of like a deadbeat dad.
A
You
little
feel like
bit.
in this movie, it's like the plot of the movie in The Christmas That Almost Wasn't is that Santa can't pay his bills. So
Yes.
I don't know if there's a backstory. Maybe there's some bonus webisodes where he invested with Bernie Madoff. So all of his Santa Corp.
And not only won't.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I could sell these toys or
Yeah.
whatever, but I'm not
And by
gonna.
the way, in the space of 2 weeks, how much money did he make as a Santa in a department
to
store?
pay enough rent?
Because he could pay for
between him
enough
and,
rent of the North Hole. Yeah. And
him and Creepy Baby Man?
yeah, which, as they point out, and we'll talk about the baby man stuff, but
Oh my gosh.
he gets hired as a janitor.
Yeah.
But he's a lawyer. And why doesn't he just bill his clients? And then Santa...
he forgets to bill his clients.
Yeah, which...
This is a big part of this this
which
movie.
was a funny joke because that
Yeah.
was one
the
of those...
first time this movie seemed unrealistic.
Yeah, exactly. And I just... there have been movies on this show before in the earlier incarnation. There have been Christmas movies. This is my least favorite Santa.
Oh, absolutely. It was pretty abysmal. I actually watched both of these movies twice because I am a glutton for punishment. And this one...
Some would say that's a cry for help. Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Is everything okay at home?
I have a lot going on. No, I actually thought this one was more delightfully awful. Like...
Then Circus Magic,
Yeah,
absolutely.
more certainly.
I definitely agree.
Yeah.
With just some of the broad, terrible characters.
I loved that they... Topol as Santa.
Yes, that was great.
Yep.
And we have Mr. Whipple, which, of course, they only had one Squeeze the Charmin reference, which was good. I would have made many throughout the course of the episode.
Also, a very nasty seeming man. Like
Mr. Whipple, the lawyer.
yes.
Yeah, not...
The baby man.
Yeah, which I love how committed they were to that bit of him wanting to be a baby man.
It was you looked in his little face and you saw that desire.
Yeah,
his
that's all
little Weasley smile.
He just
It was
wanted to be a
so-
baby for Santa
I'm a little baby.
and
Yeah.
Mrs. Santa, who
It
they never
seemed-
once called Mrs. Claus. They only called her Mrs.
Mother.
Santa.
And also Mother.
And I love how all of her recipe, the snow diet doesn't seem to be working, and she was, everything she made was snow based.
Can we briefly
The
talk
snow
about
loaf.
the nasty, weird relationship between like Santa and the like elves and they're like weird
Yeah, you feel like
ringleader guy?
that's more
He seems like a slave driver, doesn't he? He's
Yeah.
sitting at a big desk. Just kinda watching them.
There's a term for that I'm not going to use, but if you've seen Django Unchained, that tall guy, you feel like he's Sam Jackson. And the elves are the other slaves.
I see.
Sam Jackson gets to live in the house, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
And then the other elves are, out in the snow making snow angels, but that's mostly just because they pray for death.
This guy reminded me of like a Jim Carrey, like an evil Jim Carrey character, but
Yes.
like with all of the charm of the guy, the garbagey guy in the Green Mile.
Yeah, yes,
You know what
I know
I mean?
that. I do know the guy.
Yeah.
You mean, yeah.
The guy who you're like, oh, you're just a bad human.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, the whole Santa's Workshop
Weird vibe.
the dynamic, I would be uncomfortable, you know,
Yeah.
if they were like, hey, stay for dinner. No, I'm good.
Yeah.
I want to be out of this house. Mr. Prune had no
Mr.
problem.
Prune,
He comes
though.
over every night for dinner.
Let's talk about Mr. Prune for a second. Mr. Prune, is he a more famous like actor, or is this just like a one-off for this guy?
This is an
Do you
Italian
know?
movie.
Okay.
I don't know who he is. There were
curious.
references to South Pacific, so I assume Santa was in South Pacific. But
Sure.
he might just look like the guy who's in South
Possibly.
Pacific.
I was just gonna say this guy reminded me so much in such a good way of Ricardo Montalban.
Yes.
That I was charmed. He was so goofy and delightful. Like, I hate Christmas because of when I was a child.
When I was a child,
Yeah,
I had
accent.
fine Corinthian leather.
Yeah. Oh, the accent is just so goofy. It allowed for such a goofiness. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
children,
And he was
think of something.
And,
oh, God.
you know, he, again, was such a broad character who
Yeah.
clearly has no patience for women. You know, how dare Mrs. Santa say anything?
Yeah.
It was like, before I was so rudely interrupted, Kirk. And I just, yeah.
And the vaudeville bit between him and his little servant man. So silly.
That's the worst character in the movie. It
he's
was hard
so
to decide.
gross. Yeah.
But they had a great moment when
He's
he first...
not- yeah.
When he first opened the door, that moment when
Yeah.
he's not here, they had a say hello riff because he looked like Riff Raff in
Yep,
Rocky Horror
he
Picture
looked
Show.
just like him.
So we had that, and not as likable as Riff Raff, a blatant murderer.
He looks like what I always imagined the Clue butler to look like before the movie.
Yes,
before I saw the
before
movie.
Tim Curry was the butler.
No, he's
And there was a joke that I think really was very telling. It says, is this the little known Christmas movie John Waters made in the 70s? It would have been a lot like that. Except, of course, Divine would have played Santa Claus, which, pun intended, would have been Divine. I would actually have loved to have seen
That would
that
have been
film.
pretty good. I loved the joke where where he goes, I don't call being a jailer, or when it's one of the host segments, he just goes, I don't call being a jailer fun. When
Yes,
he's talking
that was
the
about
elves.
Jack in the Box.
Oh, yeah,
'cause
that
they
too.
they were sort of criticizing all of Santa's toys.
Right.
That
They're not
whenever
really-
you see Santa, he's always making
Exactly.
the wooden
Yeah, yeah,
soldiers and all that. And so, how much fun is it to be a jailer?
Yeah,
was
don't
one
make
of
me
those.
use my imagination. Come on.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you give Jack a moment of freedom before stuffing him back into his windowless prison, and that was how fun. Great reference, fairly obscure, but I feel like a lot of people of a certain age know it. When Mr. Prune shows up at the North Pole. I lost 2 ox trying to fjord the river.
Yeah.
Love me some
Oregon Trail.
Yeah. And they did point out that Mr. Prune spreader, but that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say really quick, there were a couple dumb jokes at the beginning, too, that I just really enjoyed, which were, you can always tell when a building used to be an IHOP.
Yes,
And,
I wrote that one down because you
and,
looked at it and you go like, that's kind of...
I could see it.
That's kind of the North Pole
Same
IHOP.
design. Same design. And then the she's dressed like Ronald McDonald's grandma. It's like a weird same color scheme. I loved it.
Yeah.
Goofy dumb.
Elves love research because they got so excited to look up Mr. Prune.
Oh man! And when Mr. Prune drinks the tea, and then the elves pop in, like, man, this tea kicked in fast.
That was actually
So
pretty
funny.
amazing. And then we got the Mr. Prune song.
Weird science. Yeah.
There was a
was
great
fun.
shout out when Mrs. Santa is at the fire. Shift your cargo, dearie. Show them your larboard side. Anybody who's ever been on Pirates of the Caribbean recognized that right away. I was like, I like that they went for that.
Yeah.
And then they start working at the department store. Let's talk about Mr. Prim for just a moment. His hair is just a series of mustaches 20 deep. Yeah. And they pointed out that the music was very Ren and Stimpy sounding.
I loved that Mr. Prim was like, he's an unemployed actor. That all makes sense.
Yeah, that all makes sense.
That
Go ahead.
checks out.
And it's like, a department store Santa?
It
No
would
one's
never
ever heard.
work.
I'm gonna go show Mr. Macy. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Are we suddenly somehow in New York? Because I was convinced we were in whatever country made this movie.
Yeah.
Which some of the things are written in English, but then the titles were not.
Yeah.
I was very confused.
I will say though, I thought that joke was adorable.
Oh, yeah,
that
no,
they
no.
tried to go there. They're like, look, we're inventing it. This is when it first happened. It was real Santa. Isn't that delightful?
A great scene that they used as a stinger at the end of the episode was
his laughing?
teaching Santa how to do the ho ho ho.
Oh God, it was painful.
It was very painful.
Clearly,
because
ADR.
and there's something super creepy about like
Teaching a man to laugh?
But you also referenced that I've only ever talked to children. I've only ever been in the room with children while they're sleeping.
Yeah.
No, Santa, stop.
Yeah. I've only ever seen a child while they're asleep. It's so nice. The little face they make, the little smile, and the rosy little cheeks. It's like, oh God, stop it.
And the way that
Don't
the children
paint Santa this way.
And the way the children put the lotion on their skin.
It just
or
seems
it gets the hose.
so
and then it puts it back in the basket.
inappropriate.
Very inappropriate,
Yeah.
Santa. No, thank you, Santa. That's what we say.
Yeah.
Other great jokes.
I loved him going, sorry. I'm sorry.
No, please, never be sorry.
I just loved where he goes, Santa goes, let me tell you about it. And then he goes, as long as you don't sing. And he
of course he sings right away. That was great.
Little children.
Why do we live in Disney's Tower of Terror?
Yeah,
basically that was what that
what
house
they looked like. Yeah.
We're having NyQuil coladas, sir, which was
God.
a great joke.
Balloon or personal space. You can't have both. Oh,
Gary Oldman is Johnny Depp as Slash, and Tim Burton's Bram Stoker's The Christmas That Almost Wasn't.
When all of the children come out and they name them all.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Meat Wagon was the one that killed me.
Was definitely my favorite.
And the rest.
Yeah.
My favorite.
That was all fantastic.
Delightful.
Yeah. This whole place smells like Dom DeLuise, 1979.
Ooh.
Ouch.
My favorite joke of the thing,
Yes.
though, if you're gonna spy, do it weird.
Yeah, actually, that was one I
my
wrote down.
favorite. I laughed out loud and had to
And all of the
pause it.
children that you referenced, they of course refer to it's like that they're all chud children, which yeah. So let's see. Okay, so then we have the Santa shows up in the host segment, played by Joel Hodgson, the original host of the show. And I thought it was some great Santa banter.
And then the creepy little man
Mr.
baby.
Whipple's
He's
still there with him, which I thought was great.
Santa, have a baby.
Yeah, and it's like, Santa, are you Jewish? Of course. I'm a manufacturer of children's novelties, which I thought was very funny.
Yes.
And then at the very end, Tom Servo says he's going to leave out some extra black and white cookies this year, which I thought was very funny. But it was great to see Joel in the episode.
Yes.
Because we've seen him, with the mask on as Artie every episode, and then he was one of the weird amorous space swingers in the movie that wasn't called Space Swingers, but let's be honest, it should have been called Space Swingers. Yeah. But which feels like a lifetime ago, that movie, by the way.
Yeah.
Space Swingers.
By Andrew and Christian.
Christian and Andrew?
Finest?
Hollywood's finest, yeah, absolutely. Mrs. Santa, Like My Jacket, it's Tauntaun by Mark Jacobs.
That was fun.
And then one of the just interminable scenes of just nothing happening. This is the scene that Tarantino directed.
Yeah, that was so silly.
And so he buys the department store. Mr. Prune buys the department store,
so that he is
so that he can fire them for breaking toys that he broke, and
he just does villain stuff.
The thing is that he does his villain stuff, and so then Santa basically does a GoFundMe page where he makes all these children
he summons his
who
children.
he's supposed to provide love and gifts to. He hits them up. It's like, hey...
and the children are super cool about it because it's the first time they've been hit up. They're like, no, it's cool, Santa. You're always doing nice stuff for us. Let's give you some stuff.
Hey, kids, can you give me a couple bucks to get Santa through Friday?
All
Thanks.
he got is like this sock full of change.
Yeah.
Well, that'll do fine. That'll do fine. That's exactly what Santa
leave it with
needs.
Santa. And that was an early great reference that one of the best things about this movie is that you never see Santa hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
But this movie you do.
You do.
This is the Santa that hits rock bottom. And
I wish that they had gone further and made him like an alcoholic or something. That would have been more interesting.
Well, it would have explained some things. I don't know. I've seen Santas with the very red nose.
I believe that. I will say though that extremely generalized anxiety disorder was very funny.
Oh, that was actually
called
very
that
funny.
out. Where he's like, children awake. And, that whole segment.
And I love that when everything works out, they give Mr. Prune the big bag of change.
Yep.
Which, how much was the rent?
It was a bunch of pennies.
I guess.
Back then you could pay in halfpennies.
Could you?
Yeah, well, probably.
Well, yeah, and there was a joke early on about 8 candy canes a day was the mortgage on the house. So then they realized they have to deliver toys, and there was just a funny bit of every time somebody threw a box, they were like, iPad, box of kittens, and just all very breakable things.
This doesn't actually make sounds because...
Yeah. And then... tall dwarf comes running out, had a great joke, not obscure because it's from Office Space, but Santa, wait, you need a cover page for that TPS report, was one of the ones that I wrote down. The reindeer flying was haunting.
Horrifying.
And they, rightly so, screamed out.
During the entirety.
And during all of that was a great reference, because if you take into consideration the name of all the reindeers, the Donner Party, which, of course... all ate each other. So I hope that's not what happened.
Like these reindeer.
And early on in the movie, they did talk about where this film sits in the Santa canon. You know, it's like clearly pre-Rudolph.
Right.
You know. But there were a lot of good moments here. The delivering of the presents that inexplicably was just basically a slideshow.
Yeah.
You know, it was a Microsoft Excel presentation. This is what it would be like if we were to deliver presents on Christmas morning.
This is one of those movies, too, that is so in a genre that it's so easy and fun to make fun of and, like, play with. Whereas I feel like Carnival Magic was like, we're going to do our own thing. And there are going to be elements of movies you've seen, sure, but we're making movie history.
Yeah, so we're going to make a movie, but not, you know, a movie.
Because it did feel like an element of, like, we're filmmakers, we know what we're doing.
Yeah,
it's like someone must have said something like that.
Yeah, I once went to a high school play. This was while I was in high school. And, I realized it might have sounded creepier.
Yep.
And the guy who wrote it and directed it, I'm using air quotes, he, at the very beginning, he gave an intro where he said, I hope it changes your life. And...
And did it?
It made me want to kill myself.
Well,
so
changed your life.
I had known joy up until that point.
You're welcome.
And never since. But yeah, so Carnival Magic was one of those, like, Carnival Magic is going to change your life, and therein lies the magic.
Yeah, but the magic is evil magic, necrotic magic. You didn't realize it, but it's going to suck your soul out.
This movie sits a little bit more in the Christmas happy place, and having some great references when Mr. Prune is sleeping, and while he's holding his cane, Jonah astutely points out he obviously has a very strong pimp hand.
Yes, clearly.
That was followed by a sort of a fairly obscure reference. What are you three doing? Speed the Plow. Isn't this Steppenwolf, the Chicago theater? Am I being visited by three ghosts? And this was one of the two ghosts and a baby. And, get
out of here.
And there was like the explanation, Christmas is for everyone. Well, you know. Not the swarthy types, if you know what I mean. And then he gets a toy that erases decades of toxic hate and villainy. This was a bookkeeping error. So really, Tall Elf really needs to be fired. Because think of all the grief that was brought upon Santa, all the things that he had to worry about, all the money he had to take from children because this guy dropped a postcard because he doesn't have a good filing system.
Yeah.
And really, just that one... little sailboat is all it took.
And also, let's briefly mention that this guy is a boss who treats all his underlings and goes, "Hey, go between my legs. Get in there.
I forgot about that.
Get back to work."
That was just really awkward.
It was creepy and gross.
Very creepy. And then
Get under my dick.
He hits his head.
Such a
and he hits his head on the door frame, and it's like I hit my head on the house crotch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very weird environment. I'm glad you referenced that, although also horrified that you remembered it because I clearly had blocked it out.
I watched it twice, so there are some images that are burned forever.
And there was just a weird cutaway that they made a great joke out of. Merry Christmas, Alexander Hamilton, because there was I don't know who that was a picture of, but it looked like Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Prune starts running around on the street. Merry Christmas. I think you mean Happy Holidays, which refers to, well, it's just obviously what it refers to, but it reminded me that there was a great joke earlier. It's like, well, the war on Christmas starts earlier and earlier every year.
Yeah.
And and then at the end there was just sort of a great riff about him wanting to go onto eBay and just buy all of these toys. And they mentioned so many
evil toys,
including like obscure toys like the Micronauts.
Yeah.
There were and some of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle knockoffs. There was some great stuff in there.
I loved the one that had had an evil spirit in it, but it's not scary because he deserved it.
Yeah, because he deserved it.
That was great.
And we wind down that episode with a slideshow of a little gift exchange between Jonah, Tom, and Crow.
Yes.
And King and Max get involved, and they indeed push the button and all that. I thought it was fun because they used the music from the movie.
Yes.
And they didn't break from the slideshow. And that was just the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Except, of course, for the creepy stinger of Santa learning how to laugh.
Ugh.
And ladies
Which
and
I
gentlemen,
can do without.
Yeah,
Forever.
and ladies and gentlemen, that was the Christmas that almost wasn't.
Yes.
What we'll tell you about now, though, is next week,
Boom, boom, boom.
Friday, June 9th.
Pay attention.
We will be back at our normal time, which was 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 Eastern. We're going to discuss the season finale, the season 11 finale, which I believe is called The Earth's Core.
Yes, maybe.
Which evokes memories of Star Wars The Phantom Menace.
Sure.
And an entire sequence where they try to get to the planet core.
Journey to the Center of the Earth also maybe a little.
Journey to the Who of the what?
I know, right?
Can't say I'm familiar with that.
Okay.
Film. We'll also use that episode, though, to look back on the season as a whole.
To revisit everything that we've done so far.
Tell us your favorite episodes of season 11, your least favorite episodes, your favorite jokes,
favorite characters,
favorite bits that we've done on this show,
favorite bits that they did on that show.
Capsule, just who knows? There's a lot of things. And how would you possibly convey that information to us? Well, I will tell you. Tweet us at MST3KABTV. If you're watching on YouTube, you go ahead and leave a little comment on the video. If you're listening on iTunes, you can also comment there. But if you're listening on iTunes, go ahead and rate.
Boom.
Rate the show.
Like
because
us. Subscribe to us.
We want to get way up above all the other Mystery Science Theater 3000 after shows.
Give us stars.
Yeah.
Not 3, not 4, but 5 stars.
If you can somehow buy a 6th star, we would appreciate that.
Buy the 6th star, and then that would be very nice of you. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, once you buy a 6th star, though, you might as well buy 7.
Okay.
So the week after that, June 16th, we'll be back at a special time.
Ooh.
1 Pacific, 4 Eastern.
Oh my.
There's a lot going on in these studios.
Yes.
I don't pick these times.
It's okay.
But
We're
gonna
lucky to be in this
We're gonna do
timeline.
a special live watch-along viewing where you'll be able to watch the movie with us. Andrew and I will throw some jokes and some mirth in there,
Yep.
and you can watch. It's watching the actual movie, and I think we're gonna do it with The Earth's Core. But because I haven't seen it yet, I want to reserve the right to pick a different movie from
fair.
season 11.
That's fair.
And
if it's that terrible, we will have some sort of poll where we decide together.
We let people decide which one they want. But anyway, so that'll be on June 16th, and we'll remind you next week how to find that.
We'll make sound effects about it too.
And that's coming up in the future. But right now, that's actually the not too distant future. Right now is the not distant at all present. So please make sure that you follow me, Christian DMZ, and Andrew at Andrew Mena, and is Welcome to the Dungeon Hole now welcome? Is it here with us, or is it still coming?
It's coming tomorrow.
Coming tomorrow?
Yeah.
And where can people find Welcome to the Dungeon Hole?
You can find it on SoundCloud at Welcome to the Dungeon Hole if you just search it, or if you go on Twitter at Dungeon Hole, just the word Dungeon
and
Hole.
following you at Andrew Mena is going to help.
Is going to help out too. I will be posting things. It'll be hard
and
to
remind
miss.
people what the Dungeon Hole is.
If you guys like Dungeons and Dragons, it's a group of silly comedian people playing Dungeons and Dragons together. Good times, good friends, and good monsters.
What if you don't like holes? Is that going to be okay?
It might be dicey.
Okay,
because you have to roll the dice.
I don't like the Courtney Love Band hole.
Is
that going to be a problem?
That's going to be a bridge we'll have to cross together.
Okay, well, you know what? I'll check out the episode, and if there's too much Courtney Love, I will not check out the next.
That's fair.
Anyway, thank you, everybody, for watching and joining us as always. We will be back next week, as I said, at noon Pacific. But the only thing that's left for now is to push the button.
Oh.
Andrew?
Okay.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Markov, pull up.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.